Okay, well, great. We're going to do a little panel forum here. I have some veteran area publishers that have been around Hometown Values for a few years, unrehearsed. They don't know what I'm going to ask them. I thought of some doozies, questions a lot of new area publishers and veteran APs ask me, and we're going to start with Mark. He loves these things. So, and I'm going to ask a question. What I'd ask to do is we'll go down, and if you can put a little different spin each time on what the previous person said, that would be great. So the question is, how do you ask for a 4-time agreement versus just selling a single issue ad?
I don't ask for a 4-time agreement. I assume that they're mailing 4 times. Short answer.
Good.
And I just tote the benefits of repeat exposure and how you don't know from issue to issue what's really going to be your best time to mail. I mean, some people are seasonal and they don't even realize that, so it's best to catch it all.
Mm-hmm.
I'm with Mark in that I assume they're going to do a 4-time. If they want to try to reduce that down, I ask them why, because, you know, they need the market exposure, and it's for a year for them to get exposure in this business and grow their business, and that you're there to help them.
I don't offer a one-time agreement unless it's an entertainment ad. It's because direct mail takes 4 to 6 times to build the momentum to get a return on investment. So I just don't offer it.
So that's good. So basically you sell frequency, the importance of it, huh?
Mm-hmm.
Excellent. Okay, so how do you handle your price is too high objection? Okay, Renee, we'll start with you.
Oh, well, I can use the famous Jim line of compared to what. So, yeah. So you gotta know what they're talking about. I mean, what's too high to them? Are they running an ad with somebody else, or what's their their budget? Just start talking about what they are, what they mean by that. And then you talk. We got the breakdown analysis of how many customers will it take for this to break even, and just kind of those lines. That's kind of how I go. So, how about you?
Almost ditto. No, when you're talking to the people, if the cost is too high, you need to. There's usually a flinch reaction because they're trying to lower you on your price. And the idea is that if you build value with your magazine, you explain to them what the cost is and how many people you're going to reach, and then what it is per household. And do they want to advertise in a newspaper with a black and white format and smudge, or do they want to have something that's going to stand out like our magazine in the high gloss and full color? A lot of times, once you start talking to them, you'll understand that if they can get the better bang for the buck and go with you and get a better presentation, it's going to reflect on sales for them. That's ultimately what you're trying to do, is help drive more customers in to help them grow. And they appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm always start with where else can you go for 1.7 cents an address and make it to the kitchen table for 30,000 addresses?
Yep.
I mean, how is that? A postage stamp's 49 cents. So those are some of the comebacks that I start with. So.
Excellent.
And then back to me, kind of tongue in cheek, you're probably talking to the wrong person if they're asking you that question. Or the reason that they're the wrong person is because you didn't build enough value in the first place to make them even ask that question. That's kind of, I think, the goal for all of us is to never hear that question. And if you don't ever hear that question, you're good. You're doing really well.
Yeah, those are good solid answers. I mean, ultimately, I think when a business owner asks you about your price is too high, or I have a competitor I'm getting it lower for, whatever that type of thing is, they're trying to test you.
Mm-hmm.
And if your initial reaction is to justify your price or immediately discount your price, you need to get a checker from the neck up, okay? Because really what's happening here is you are basically giving away profit that should be going to your family because you're instantly thinking a lower price is going to get that sale. As a consumer, everywhere I shop, I ask for a price. Every time I go into something, I'm ready to buy right now, and I flinch when the guy gives me the price. How much is that porterhouse steak? Oh, it's $15 a pound or whatever. I go, $15 a pound? Well, we can do it for $13. Right? That's happening to you all day long in the world of advertising and marketing. You have to present your price and feel confident with your price. That's a big part of it is, are you going to feel confident in presenting your price to somebody and not be flinching?
Real quick too, along the same lines, is if you do land that customer, that client, more often than not, those are the most difficult clients from that moment on. You will always have troubles with them on collections, you'll
It's
have troubles
true.
on the next ad,
The
on
ones that you
renewing.
actually discount,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
They're,
So,
they're really asking, can I get a return on my investment? That's what they are really asking. And if somebody hit it on, establish value. If you don't establish value, if you jump right into price, the guy says, well, we mailed to 15,000 homes or 30,000 homes. He goes, well, how much is that ad right there? And you just puke out the price. I think you're doing a wrong thing. You got to build some value. You got to ask him, you know the simplest question to ask people in this business? Where do you pull your customers from? And if it's a retail location, guess what they're going to tell you? Probably quote some zip codes right around where they're at, right? And you say, gosh, we happen to mail to all the homes in that area. We should get married. That's what I tell them. And they kind of look at you because really, at that point, they just told you where they pull their customers. You told them who you reach with your magazine as a vehicle to reach those people. We have common ground here now, and I sell cost per home. I don't sell $4.46 on the third page ad. I look them dead in the eye and I say, a postage stamp's around 49 cents now, I think. Did you know that this ad right here, and I point to a third of a page, did you know we can professionally design this ad, print it in full color, and mail it to someone's home for 3 cents? Isn't that great? You hear that? Isn't that great? I'm telling them, I'm giving them something to say, you know what, that is pretty great. So, okay, another question is this. What has been the hardest part of being an area publisher for you, and how have you overcome that hurdle? And you might have touched on this in a previous talk, but maybe someone's just watching this video for the first time. And so the question is, what has been the hardest part of being an area publisher for you, and how have you overcome that hurdle? We'll start with Greg, the engineer.
Yeah,
Who's analytical.
yeah, so that's it right there. My formal background is in engineering, and usually engineers are pretty introverted, and I had a compliment given to me one time that said, you're an engineer with a personality. But I've always, even in engineering, I've always met with clients and solicited more business and done the marketing side of stuff. And when this opportunity became available, first time, Jim turned me down. And I waited 2 years and it became available again. And he said, well, he's my brother. He knows me, but he doesn't know me because we've been separated for, 15 years and, 20, 25 years at a distance from when we graduated college. And my take on this is sometimes analytical, probably much more so than most people, because that's how my brain is wired. But I go into it with a basic understanding that you try to help the people, give them a solid opportunity to grow their business, and you try to help them. And like Jim says, you don't just bark out the price right off. You talk to them and cultivate kind of a friendship, like you're trying to help them and have a sincere interest in their business. And so for me, getting out there and coming from a number crunching and analytical side to people who are a little more left brain versus right brain, that's been harder for me, but it's also helped me grow as a person and be able to do more of that personal side and talking with business owners and doing things. So.
Thanks, Greg. So what's been the hardest part of being an AP for you, Susan, and how have you overcome that hurdle?
Okay, well, I'm the queen of what not to do, so if I had to pick one thing, I would say too much barter trade. Was 8,000. It just, that's a lot, and of the wrong stuff that, not your food and retail. So that was my big
How did you overcome that hurdle? Did you start weaning people off, or just say in your mind, I need to make a profit on each ad, there's a cost of goods, I must make that and above, or I'm not gonna live. How did you overcome the hurdle?
I did a lot of weaning out, especially the 100% to restaurants, you know. I found a lot of restaurants that would pay for the actual advertising, and that was a big part of it.
Right? Mark?
Hardest part, what do you think, Renee?
Well, we each have our areas, so.
I know.
Time management?
I think staying on task maybe for me,
That's true.
you know, staying focused. Need to put some blinders on and just keep going out there. Overcoming it, I have a great business partner here, and she helps keep me on track. So help make lists and just different things and talk about what we should be doing the next day and that kind of thing is the best way to overcome that.
Excellent.
And I'm gonna go off of that because I know that in the beginning, I'd just go out there and I'd feel like I was just a fish out of water. I was like, where do I start? And so by setting up the night before, and I'll have my list and I break it down and give him part of it that, you know, maybe he's got areas that he's stronger in or better connections with this particular client. So he's got that list. I know where I'm heading. And in between those people, then I'll stop and visit a few others. But at least I know where I'm going and I have some mock-up, some ads, maybe they run into their Valpaks or other competitors. I'll have that with me to know that they're known offenders. But in the meantime, I'll stop and get some, you know, visit new people in between, but at least I have a direction in which to go. I'm not just feeling lost.
Boy, that resonates with me, because if you don't have the plan, you have a plan to fail, right? That's really what it boils down to. So if you daily have at least a couple of, maybe there's a business district you're gonna go see. We were talking last night over just a little casual get-together that we had with some APs, and they were asking about who actually makes a phone call. Some people actually block time in their calendar to just smile and dial. Start calling Valpak ads, money mailer ads, you know, the plumber you saw drive down the road, and just block out time in your calendar to smile and dial. Because if you don't have that plan, an idea where you're gonna go, otherwise you're gonna just show up in your town and go, what am I supposed to do? You know, hit a strip mall and hammer the thing, basically. So that's good. Thank you, guys. Okay, so here's a fun one. How do you reward yourself? We'll start with you, Susan. Let's say you have a cycle and you hit some numbers, or maybe you grew your restaurant count. I always get excited about restaurant count. What do you do to reward yourself on a good cycle?
Well, massage is always a good one, like what Renee would do, but I tend to have a harder time with that. Maybe go on a trail ride,
Nice.
Yep.
animal time.
Mhm. Yeah. Rewarding ourselves. I like the daily small little rewards. Go out to dinner, go to lunch. Even smaller and more frequent would be when we make a sale. I make a sale and she's somewhere else calling other clients. We'll text each other. I just landed whoever, the dry cleaners.
Oh
or
yeah, we
somebody.
feed off each other.
It's like, yay, and she'll text back.
So that
Tell me how to
encourages.
do that, please. How do you land a dry cleaner?
They have to
Yeah.
speak English.
It's very difficult. Yeah, she just got one. We'll talk to Boopy. But those are the ways the daily little things that I like, that's what counts for me. So, and then of course a massage every now and then.
That's fun too.
Doesn't hurt.
Occasionally, I know I'm kind of in touch with a lot of APs and stuff like that, maybe more than the average person is, but it's fun when someone lands something, I get a text or a phone call, say, I just got a chiropractor I've been calling on, you know, and it's just, that's a wonderful thing, man. Congratulations and good on you. So, same thing. Reward
Oh yeah,
yourself.
we schedule a massage after the end of, we push that button. It's like the next day we're scheduling our massages so we can just relax and start fresh. So that's what we do.
Nice. Do you do some graphs or anything, Greg?
Graphs.
I crunched some numbers and
I'm gonna be in business with my brother.
I'm a little bit more long-sighted in my goals. I try to think of something, you know, being a single dad and having my two girls, I try to think of some fun things that we can do with them. And so I'll have some goals of trying to close and get so many ads in and expanding my magazine to 16 pages. But I look at trying to think about maybe something we might do in the summer, or maybe something, a larger purchase, something more of a dream or a vision that you have, so that way you have a focus to go out and do something. If you're just kind of taking your gun and just shooting it, well, you got to have a direction that you're shooting it in. And if you want to aim for something, whether it be making money so you can give it to a charitable contribution, helping them, whether it's helping yourself and improving your own lifestyle, maybe, getting another house or a better car, whatnot, just something that is a dream that you want to have to fulfill, that's what motivates you and gets you out the door. And if you can focus on that, then you can go out and you can see a tangible and something occurring. Now, realize if it's a long-term vision, it's not going to come, so you should have some short-term visions to do, like, say, you get a massage or go for a ride on the horse and that kind of thing, something that gives you more of an instant gratification than something that might be 2 months or 6 months or a year down the road. But it's really important to do that, because that's your why in terms of what you do. And I think that and crunching some numbers, you got to try it. It's great.
Well, I think they say if the why is strong, the how is no problem. So you got to have a dream, you got to have a why, you got to kind of know why you're doing this. It's got to be more than just money. I like what Mark says. I mean, it kind of becomes a lifestyle. I sit around and look at some of my friends, and they're great people, and they've got a job, and they've got to be at some place at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning, and they have to ask for permission to get off, and and that's just the channel, that's just the avenue that they went down. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just as someone who's involved in a business of their own in free enterprise, I think we have a significant amount of freedoms that we also take for granted sometimes. I mean, I had a phone call from an area publisher who hasn't been with Hometown Values for about a year, call me up and tell me, she says, I'm making more money now at the job I'm at than I was making with Hometown Values. She says, and I hate it. She says, all the freedoms I had at Hometown Values to go to my kid's baseball game at 2:30, 3 o'clock, to go to the recital practice, to pick my kids up from school and have that little 30, 40 minutes, whatever it was, 20 minutes, 10 minutes of just kid time. Those are gone when she's taken a full-time, 9 to 5 type job. And again, nothing wrong with those. It's just, I think once you taste freedom, you want to keep that freedom, but you also want to make sure that you manage your business properly to keep that freedom. So the next question is something I hear a lot of people ask about. We all have questions. I'm looking for some tips, but Mark, how do you manage your cash flow and a paycheck that you have to take out of Hometown Values, a draw, a paycheck, whatever you want to call it? How do you manage your cash flow and paycheck and balance the cost of good payments that come and go throughout the month?
I use the Hometown Values calendar.
Gee, just like descriptive.
Who paid it?
What do you, man?
I put it, I actually, when he sends that out, I put it into my calendar. I put those dates in there with little red coloring so I can see when the pay dates are coming up. And I just look at that because I'm looking at my calendar every day anyway, so I can have a little red bar at the bottom of the month down there. It's like, I better be paying attention to that one. There's a $5,000 postage bill when you have a $30,000 zone. 30,000 distribution.
Mailing,
Eventually, someday you'll have a $30,000 zone.
Yeah.
That'd be swell.
Someday. Each cycle.
24
right.
pages.
Yeah.
We can do it.
We will,
do it.
we will be there. Implementing the
ask you
calendar
this.
and putting it in there, yeah.
Let's say you look and 8 days, 9 days, 10 days from now, there is a postage payment, there is a production payment for printing, there's a
Sure.
graphic design payment. What do you do with your business that's on the books and the cash flow and stuff? How do you look at that 8-day, 9-day period when money's due, and you maybe got $2,000 in your bank and you really need to have $4,000 to cover that, but you also have some personal bills coming due?
Sure. Then I look at my accounts receivable, and I start there, and I go right down and look, and whoever's in the third column over is number one
90 days.
suspect. Yeah, they're definitely, they've already been hit several times. I'm visiting them in person that day. The people who are in second column, that 30 to 60 day window, they're going to get a call and or a visit that day or the next day, because I've got big bills coming up, and these people haven't fulfilled their commitment to me like they said they would. So I'm going to call them on it. And now I'm in need, and I'm going to make sure they know that. So I'm going to go and get my money. And it's fair, and they don't, it's interesting because you have that kind of an attitude and posturing when you go in. You're not being nasty or mean or anything. You're just like, it's time for you to make that payment. I've got to get some bills done. If I need to say that, I will, but usually I don't have to. But I'll just go get the money that way, or I call them up. Oftentimes they'll just say, hey, can you, how about we just do a credit card? I can take credit card on the phone, you bet. Take it down, run it through. Third page ad is $646 in our book. Those little 646s add up real fast. All of a sudden, everything's paid for. It's like, whew. Takes 2 or 3 days, and we have a concerted effort
Right.
of the people who have outstanding balances still, and everything's paid for.
But
I don't have to worry
you
about it.
kind of spend that 2-3 days of concentrated collection
Mhm.
time to create
Yeah.
your cash flow to help
Yep.
cover your cost of goods.
Yep.
Got it. Renee?
We
Kick him
work
out the
together.
door, is that what you do?
He handles all that right now. We're good with that, so we'll go to Greg.
Collections, try to, when you're signing somebody up before your book is going out, be diligent about getting money down. It does a couple things in that it will help you fund your payments that are coming up for your postage, for your cost of publishing. But it also tells, to me, if you don't collect, it's telling them that, oh, this is not a big deal, it's not a real business, I can front everything for you. And if you want to continue to do that with people, then they'll take advantage of you. Especially if you're trying to help somebody and do it, and you forego that, you're actually hurting yourself. So if you ask for the money up front and you get it either right when the magazine goes to print or right when it's put out, which is maybe 2 weeks later, you need to collect that money, because if you try to collect it afterwards, oh, I didn't get that many returns coming in, so do I owe you the full amount?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good point.
so put a value on your business and collect from the people. Otherwise, if you don't, you can find yourself running behind and having to borrow for your own money to pay for the bills that are coming in instead of your business funding and paying you. So that's what I would say.
Well, it's been a real learning curve for me, and so I would say that getting your invoices out early and following up on your accounts receivable. I have some terrific Valpak training in that it's prepay. Can't get your post-it man to deliver, the advertising, and just make it part of the presentation. And if I'm gonna put you on, if you want monthly payments, that's great. They're due at the beginning of the month, and the magazine has to be prepaid by the time it comes out. So if that means splitting it up into 2 payments for your first one to make that happen, then that's the way it is, and it's automatic credit card. I'm not gonna chase $100 checks.
Yeah.
And that's been very, very helpful.
Boy, great tips, huh? Great, good stuff there. I mean, ultimately, when it comes down to cash flow and those type of things, it's just really important to manage that, understand when monies are coming due. And I don't know if you've ever heard this, but it really helps to put out a 16, 20, 24-page magazine. But ultimately, you'll make more money that way. 12-page magazine's a good starting point, not a resting point. It's a good starting point. We're going to have a speaker coming up in a few minutes talking about the printing side of things and efficiencies and why 16 pages make more sense and those type of things. And that's really where we encourage every area publisher to kind of set their mindset on a 16-page book. So we in 30 seconds each, because that's about what we have left here, knowing what you know now, what would you have done differently if you were a new area publisher getting started? And just try to give me, think about that and give me a nugget. Just one little thing you might have done differently. Why don't we start with,
The person who's ready.
we'll start with Susan. Go ahead, she's ready.
Okay,
I would do 2 15,000 mailing zones, 16 pages apiece. So you have income stream 8 times a year. And also coming from having just one mailing 4 times a year, that's just a little hard to make a full-time income on. So I think you can maximize your profits by splitting it
Susan
up.
doesn't have a neighboring market she can expand into. She has to go up into Canada. That's her next market, so.
Not happening.
Mark, go ahead.
I just had a thought when Susan was talking on the last topic, that we really have 3 businesses. We have a marketing business, we need to market ourselves. We have a sales business, we need to sell our product. service, and we have a collections business, you know? And if you don't take each one of those seriously, then you have to have all three. You can't just hope that the collections happens. That's part of your business, and you need to take it seriously and go do it, so,
Yeah.
yeah.
Great. Renee?
I'm still trying to think it through. I don't know. Greg, got
Greg?
something ready?
I'd say, call early and call often. So when your cycle's starting out, after you put a magazine to bed, don't take a 2-week vacation and then, which turns into 2.5 or 3. Go out there, and while you have the momentum, keep it going, because when you come down to you're publishing the magazine that just went out, you're on a roll. Keep that momentum going, and take that fire that you have of closing some of those last minute deals. You go out to see new merchants, and that enthusiasm, that fire you have lit underneath you, they can see that, and they see that you're excited. It's not like you're trying to force them into something, but they see that you're excited about something, and that enthusiasm makes a difference. And the people, they'll ask you more questions. You may have to make a couple of visits back and forth, but you start to seal up your deals, and you get by calling on them early, all of a sudden you start piecing together, and your pages start filling up.
Good advice. Let's thank the panel, guys.
Wait, I got mine.
Oh, I'm sorry, Renee. Renee.
It came to me. It finally came to me. No, I was still thinking. Don't assume. You walk into a small mom and pops and you think, oh, here's my smallest ad. You start with that one. And so they go with that because, you know, that's what you started with and what you kind of played up. And next thing you think, they're buying these big ads in the newspaper and they're buying Val packs and multiple zones. You're thinking, they had the money all along.
Yeah.
You know, so don't assume.
Good.
Start with the big, show them how it can be promoted, and if they really want to work their way down, so be it. But don't assume.
One idea is show people the back cover if it's truly the case. Tell them there's 2 half-page ads on the back cover. Whatever your price is, mine's $8.95, and I look at them, I say they're both sold out for the year. Then I move on to the next ad. I just planted a pretty valuable seed in their mind that, whoa, the most expensive ad in the magazine is sold out for the year. Interesting, kind of a perception issue. Let's thank the panel, guys.
All right.